Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a super dramatic Formula One qualifying session at the Chinese Grand Prix to answer one simple question. In a battle of strategy, tech, and just raw nerve, what does it actually take to be the fastest?
All right, so let's set the scene. We're at the Shanghai International Circuit, and this is where it all went down. A high-stakes, multi-stage knockout session where, everything came down to this one power-hungry final sector of the lap, from that tight hairpin all the way to the finish line.
Now, this wasn't your typical fastest lap wins kind of deal. No, this was a brutal, three-part elimination, a high-pressure shootout where the field gets whittled down session by session.
So, the best way to think about it is like an elimination funnel. You've got the first 12-minute session, known as SQ1, and boom, the slowest drivers are in that drop zone, and they're out. It creates this instant, high-stakes drama right from the get-go.
And wow, did the drama come fast. I mean, some of the biggest names in the sport, guys you'd absolutely bet on, got caught out in all the chaos. And the biggest shocker? A stunningly early exit for Ferrari's Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, and Sainz wasn't the only one. Just look at this list. A total of 6 drivers knocked out, and we're talking big names here. Race winners like Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso. Some of them didn't even leave the pits for one last shot. The funnel had already claimed its first victims.
But out of all that chaos, a really interesting story started to take shape. While all these seasoned pros were stumbling, a new generation of super talented rookies didn't just survive, they were thriving. It kind of felt like a changing of the guard.
And this table just lays it all out. On one side, you've got the old guard, Alonso, Perez, Sainz, all out in SQ1. But then look at the new blood. Rookies Kimi Antonelli, Oliver Behrman, and Isak Hadjar. Not only did they handle the pressure, they all made it to the final top 10 shootout. Incredible.
And this right here, this is the story of the day in a nutshell, isn't it? The knockout format just swallowed up these Grand Prix winners, while the next generation just calmly stepped up to the plate, ready to fight for the top spots on the grid.
Okay, so the field is down to 10. How did the fight for pole position actually play out? Well, the answer is in 2 completely different parts of the track, and this fascinating tech trade-off between grip in the corners and pure raw power on the straights.
It really was a tale of 2 sectors. In those twisty, complex corners at the start of the lap, Sector 1, McLaren was just untouchable. Nobody could get near them. But then you get to the power-hungry final sector with that massive 1.2-kilometer straight, and Mercedes had this incredible, frankly unbeatable advantage.
But mastering that final sector wasn't just about having a heavy right foot. It was all about perfectly managing the car's super complex hybrid energy system. So the question is, how on earth did they do it? Well, it's like this intricate 3-step dance. First, you harvest. You brake from over 200 miles an hour into the hairpin, and that just crams energy back into the battery. Then you boost. You unleash all that stored electrical power for maximum speed down that long straight. And finally, depletion. You hit that last corner with basically nothing left in the tank, so you need perfect car control to get it to the line. All right, let's get to the grand finale, the final shootout. And let's see how Mercedes driver George Russell put all these pieces together for what you can only call a tactical masterclass to grab pole position. Now his teammate, the legend Lewis Hamilton, he set a really strong early time. And the rookie, Kimi Antonelli, was unbelievably quick. But Russell's approach on his final make-or-break lap, totally different. It was all about the strategy. So this is the telemetry, the car's data stream, and it shows his brilliant strategy. He was actually patient in the first sector, giving up a little bit of time to save his tires. He was kind of passive in the middle to harvest that battery energy. And then he just unleashed absolutely everything for a perfect run down that final 1.2 kilometers straight. And you could hear it in the commentary booth. They saw it happening live. His line through that crucial turn 14 hairpin, the one that kicks off the final sector, that was the key that unlocked his huge advantage. It was, like they said, the hairpin of his life. And there it is, 1 minute, 31.520. A stunningly fast lap, delivered under just immense pressure. He stitched every single piece together perfectly. And that was the gap, nearly 0.3 of a second. In Formula One, that's an eternity. And almost all of that time, he found it in that one, single, perfectly executed final sector. So what was the end result of this masterclass? A dominant front-row lockout for Mercedes. You've got George Russell on pole, and right next to him, this sensational rookie Kimi Antonelli.
They're ahead of the hard-charging McLarens and Ferraris. Just amazing.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, this was a pole position that was won by strategy just as much as by raw speed. But it also leaves us with this really fascinating question for the future of the sport, right? Was this just a one-off tactical masterclass from an incredible driver? Or are we actually watching the dawn of a new era where a new generation is ready to take the crown?